For more on this, I'm joined by Republican strategist Steve Cortes. He recently wrote an op-ed for Newsweek titled "Ron DeSantis for President, Despite Being a Longtime Spokesman of President Trump." What changed your mind?
Well, Marni, thank you for having me. It was an honor for me to advocate for years, for much of the last 7 years, for President Trump. But one of the biggest reasons, perhaps the biggest driving reason, is that I don't believe President Trump can win. And I believe that Joe Biden is doing just ruinous damage to this country right now in so many ways: the economy, the open border, precipice of World War III. And when I look at the political scene right now, even though I have great regard for President Trump, when I look at the political scene, I believe that the most electable, most conservative candidate out there, the best option, is Governor Ron DeSantis. And, you reported about his call with donors. I was not on that call, but if he did say that, the data backs up the governor's point. And what I mean by that is that a supermajority of Americans do not want a rematch. Overwhelmingly, Americans don't want the Biden versus Trump 2020 rematch in 2024. And President Trump's own pollster, Tony Fabrizio, and this was reported in the Wall Street Journal, he said that of that supermajority that is disaffected, that is disillusioned about the idea of a rematch, if they're forced to pick between Biden and Trump, Biden actually leads by 39% among that cohort. And that tells me that if it does come down to a rematch, the Republicans are likely going to lose. And then on the positive side, that's sort of the negative case. On the positive side, we have this just rising star political dynamo in Ron DeSantis, somebody who has bucked the Republican trend of losing for several election cycles, 2018, 2020, 2022. He has been the outlier, the winner, who took what was a swing state and turned it into a ruby red, dependably Republican state. He did it through really conservative, disciplined, and focused governance. I think he can bring that to the country. I expect him to announce very soon. And once he does, I hope we can tell the Ron DeSantis story nationwide.
Well, I mean, it's not going to be easy, right? There's no yellow brick road in politics. And I want to take a look at some of the things that Americans on a larger scale think about what's happening in Florida. For instance, Americans oppose 7 of 8 of the policy initiatives spearheaded by DeSantis: loosening gun restrictions, 6-week abortion ban, prohibiting public colleges and universities from funding programs that promote equity and inclusion. How will his record in Florida play nationally?
Well, listen, regarding his record in Florida, the most important verdict that was delivered is the people of Florida, of course, the citizens. Back in 2018, he very narrowly won that race. 4 years later, he won it by almost 20%, just a runaway landslide, and had coattails, by the way. He lifted all Republican candidates. Every statewide office in Florida is now Republican for the first time since Reconstruction. So the people of Florida clearly delivered their positive verdict. They rehired Ron DeSantis overwhelmingly to do his job. I believe that that same approach, that same agenda of winning and really competent governance through discipline and focus, that same approach is going to win him the Republican primary, and it'll be uphill. You're absolutely correct. Look, clearly we are the underdog in Team DeSantis, and right now President Trump is the front runner. But I believe that we will be closing that gap shortly once Ron DeSantis does in fact announce, and once we start to tell his story. We're very well known in Florida, not well known to the rest of America. But I think once we get that story out there, it's going to be incredibly attractive to voters. What
are you hearing, Steve, on an announcement and what that will look like and when?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you understand that I can't reveal anything that I would know. Also, though, I'm with the Political Action Committee, not the campaign side of things. But I think, look, it seems to me most of the reporting is very reasonable, that it is forthcoming. I mean, we're not talking months out now. We're talking days to weeks is certainly the expectations. And I think those are reasonable expectations. And, personally, as somebody who has switched teams, who has gone from Team Trump to Team DeSantis, I'm incredibly excited to get started. And I don't think any American should believe in a coronation. Donald Trump tries to claim that the primary is over and that he doesn't even have to debate. I think that's ridiculous. They do coronations in England. We don't do them here in the United States. We had a revolution against monarchies, and it's not going to be a coronation, at least on the Republican side. And again, Americans have seen this movie before, Biden versus Trump. They overwhelmingly do not like it. That's not my opinion. That's what the polling shows us massively. They don't like this movie. They know the ending. The way that we give them a better option, the antidote to a rematch, because I think America's better than a rematch, is this young rising star who largely shares Donald Trump's political philosophy, but he brings it without the chaos and without the personal baggage and the kind of polarizing animosity which Donald Trump, unfortunately, just brings to any race or any issue he gets involved in.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.